Hey friends, Megan here. Today I'm going to talk to you about how you can get started with a homestead garden completely from scratch for free or pretty close to it. So we're getting started with our homestead and we are a one income family right now. We love it because it gives us more family time together and less time, just working for stuff we don't need, but that does kind of restrict our budget some. So I have become the queen of budgeting. Let me tell you, I have got our expenses down so low that we've been able to save up cash to pay for homestead property, and starting a garden from scratch for free is one of the ways that you can do this too. Follow along with me, see these tips that I've got for you so that you can get started with your homestead garden for free. That means there's no excuses anymore. Remember, I say there's a will, there's a way. Find your way to make this happen. If you really want it, you will do it. Okay friends, so my very first tip I have for you is to make use of your natural resources. And one of my all-time favorites is grass. Most people probably have a lawn. And what do they do with those lawns but cut them? What do they do with the grass clippings? You can actually make use of those grass clippings. I use them to put in my containers to act as a mulch, and this helps hold in water because water in container gardens is a major issue. So you want to be able to retain that water as much as possible, and grass clippings as mulch is one of the ways to do that. But since we know grass clippings are easy to come by and there's a lot of them out there, you can make use of these in more than one way. So as I said, mulching your gardens, your container beds with grass clippings, fantastic resource of these. You can also dig them into the dirt so that it can help break down and feed your soil, or you can do what I do and add them to your compost bin when you have more than enough to cover your garden. If you can, let them set out on the grass to dry for a day or two and then use them. But if you can't, fresh grass clippings are just fine. Okay, so adding grass clippings, I literally just sprinkle them on and cover it up. And then they start to break down. They get nice and brown. I've got, oh Lord, a couple inches here of grass clippings, and then look at this soil under it. It's nice and brown and beautiful. Lots of bugs love to live in it. They literally naturally break down, so you don't have to do anything else to them. You just lay them on there and cover it up. Since we're right here, let's go ahead and talk about tip number 2, and that is going to be making use of your leftover vegetables to grow in your garden. This beauty right here is a potato plant. I started this from store-bought potatoes. I had some potatoes that got shoved to the back and they started to sprout, and the sprouts really got a little long. More than I was really comfortable with cutting off and using. So what did I do? I planted them. Now I know plenty of people are going to tell you you can't plant store-bought potatoes. They've been sprayed with stuff that keep them from growing, but here is your proof. Let me tell you. 1, 2, 3, 4 potatoes went into this bed right here. Now, I stuck the potatoes in whole because I had always heard you couldn't plant them, they wouldn't grow, and so I didn't actually have much hope for it. I just wanted to see if it would work. But if you have a large potato, you can let the eyes form, cut it apart so that you have 2 or 3 little eyes, the little root things that grow off of it, on each one. Let it set out for a day so that the cut side kind of cures, and plant them cut side up. Then you can make use of that large potato to grow multiple potato plants. But look, it's even got flowers coming in on it. So it is actually growing and blooming, and I am very proud of my store-bought potato plants. But you can also do this with more than just potatoes. So carrots, if you cut the carrot tops off 2 to 3 inches, stick the cut bottoms in water, let them regrow. They're not going to regrow carrots, but they're going to flower, and where they flower, you can actually get carrot seeds for next year. Onions, you can cut the bottom off. Again, leave some space with it, at least 1 inch. Stick the bottom where the roots are forming already in some water. Let it start sprouting, growing new roots, and then you can plant that in the soil. It will take about 2 seasons to really get a big onion bulb from that, but you can take and let it grow out, plant it in your garden. If you're going to use onions anyways, why not just save the part you're going to cut off, sprout it, and let it grow. You're investing in yourself and your future by planting your leftovers so you can one day harvest big, beautiful onions from them. There's so many more vegetables you can do this with, and I may actually make a video of me doing it and do like a time lapse to show you that there is proof they can grow. So if you want me to do a video like that, comment below, let me know, and subscribe to the channel. And one day you may see it happen where I grow our produce from vegetable scraps I get from the grocery store. Tip number 3 for you is compost. Love some compost. If you can see, I've got quite the compost bin started over here. And remember, we live in an RV. We don't have a whole lot of space. I've got just an old storage tote here. Well, actually I bought my new, but you can use an old one. Kenneth drilled some holes into the side of it. I don't know if you can see those, but it's got holes all over it to get good airflow. I throw vegetable scraps, fruit scraps, eggshells, coffee grounds, tea bags, grass clippings, tree leaves, sticks, all of that into the compost bin, and then I mix it up and let it sit, and it will actually break down into some beautiful food for your soil. Talk about getting some more bang for your buck. You can feed your plants with leftover scraps that are gonna go in your trash. So reduce, reuse, recycle right here in your compost bin. Now, as you can see, I love doing compost in a bin because it makes it so easy to turn your compost. Every time that I come out and dump our kitchen scraps into the compost, I shake it all up, top it with some more grass clippings if I have it, and then let it set back under the RV. The heat and the air helps to break down all of this wonderful vegetable scraps that would have been in our trash so that we can use it to feed our vegetables later on. Okay guys, the next tip I have for you is probably one of the reasons that our potato plants look so beautiful from store-bought potatoes. And that is to make your own fertilizer. Now this may look like some junk in a jar, but it is actually wonderful plant food made from banana peels. Now this one just had some banana peels in it that were soaking in water for a few days. Dump it on there, throw the banana peels in your compost, and then you're good to go. Other things you may have around your house that can make a good fertilizer for your plant are things like Epsom salts, which add magnesium to your plants. Coffee grounds, I do this all the time. It is great for plants who love acid, so think like tomato plants. Eggshells. Now eggshells, you're gonna want to dry the eggs until they get hard and brittle and crunch them up and sprinkle them on top and then cover them with a layer of mulch, and they break down on their own. That adds calcium to your soil, and calcium in tomato plants is really huge to help fight off that blossom end rot. Trust me, I've been battling it this season. Another one you may not think about, and I actually have never used but I have seen, is molasses. I buy molasses every year when I make gingerbread cookies for Christmas, and I never use it all. And then it comes around the next year and I don't have enough in the jar to make a whole nother batch of gingerbread cookies. So I had to go out and buy a whole nother jar, even though I still have a little bit of molasses to use up. Now I know I can use it as garden fertilizer. Check into that and see what plants you may have that may love them a little bit of molasses. Now the next tip I have for you is one of my favorites, and that is, if you don't have the space or the time or the money to put in a big old garden, don't be afraid to garden in containers. Now remember, we live in an RV and we have been traveling the United States, and some of these plants, especially these tomato plants right here, have traveled across the country with us. I actually planted these things in Iowa. Yeah, I know, right? And they are now in South Carolina. We are in an RV park currently waiting to close on our homestead property, and I have absolutely loved having my container garden with me. It's given us the opportunity to eat garden fresh veggies right here before we even have the time or the money to put in a huge homestead garden. I bought my containers, I'm not gonna lie. I absolutely love these firehouse buckets here. The monies go towards firefighters, and they were actually pickle buckets, so they kind of smell like pickles when I first started, but not anymore. I have another 5-gallon bucket, a clear leftover like tote that I was using a hand wash laundry in, another 5-gallon bucket. This one's like a laundry basket sort of thing, I guess you could say. I found it at Walmart. You can get containers from your garden for pretty cheap from the stores. Just look for things on clearance. all they have to be able to do is hold soil. You're going to drill holes in them for drainage or anything, so if they're broken, it's okay. But better yet, try Facebook Marketplace, try Facebook groups. Put it out there that you are looking to take people's trash off their hands. It's going to be the end of summer, and you would be surprised at how many people bought kiddie pools at the beginning of summer that are now broken, or their kids have outgrown, or they just don't know what to do with them. Kiddie pools would make the perfect container garden. In fact, Jess from Roots and Refuge grew so many plants in kiddie pools in her garden. Like, I think she did an entire strawberry patch at one. Such a cool idea. Now, if all the different colored containers just isn't your style, you don't like the way it looks, grab you a can of spray paint and spray paint the outside of them. It's not going to touch your vegetables. I suggest you do it before you plant your vegetables, but it's not going to hurt your vegetables for the outside of their containers to be spray painted. And it can make it look more uniform and beautiful. It's all up to you what you want to do, but being able to reduce and reuse people's trash containers to plant your vegetables in is wonderful for you and wonderful for the environment too. Now, I put it out there on Instagram for y'all to share your favorite garden hacks with me so I could see if there was one that I didn't have or didn't think of. And there was. One of my friends, it's a friend in real life and on Instagram, actually commented on my post and said that you could use the cardboard egg cartons for seed starting. I didn't think of that. I think I've seen it before, but it's not something that I personally thought of. So if you buy your eggs in cardboard cartons, make sure you save them up. And then next year, fill the little pockets with soil, add you some seeds, and there you go. When it's time to plant, cut the cardboard apart and you can plant it directly into the soil. That cardboard is going to break down and feed your soil. Another way to get started with your homestead garden for free. Okay friends, so there are some great hacks for you to get you started with a homestead garden for free. Now, you have a lot of time till next year's spring garden, so if you have to put up 1/4 out of each paycheck to put aside for some seeds, do that. Invest in yourself. Remember, make your own way. If growing your family's food is what's important to you, find a way to do it. Now, follow along on our channel to find out how we make a go of this homestead life on a budget. We will have some more tips, tricks, and hacks for you along the way. So like, subscribe, and all that jazz. I look forward to seeing you around. Bye now.